Hello, my loves. Tonight we're diving into one of the most whispered about misunderstood topics out there, sex. So many of us grow up carrying myths, ideas we think are true, but actually hold us back from enjoying intimacy to the fullest. Let's break a few of these myths together. Myth versus reality approach is one of the most powerful ways to talk about intimacy because it doesn't just teach, it transforms the way people think about their relationships and their own desires. When you use myths as your starting point, you immediately capture attention because everyone has heard them, wondered about them, or even believed them at some point. These myths often shape people's expectations, sometimes creating pressure, insecurities, or unnecessary fears around sex. By presenting them directly and then gently breaking them down, you invite your audience to rethink old ideas in a way that feels freeing, enlightening, and deeply relatable. The beauty of this approach is that it validates the audience first. When you acknowledge a common myth, you're essentially saying, it's okay, you're not alone in believing this. That immediately makes listeners feel less judged and more open to hearing the truth. Myths like men want sex more than women, or good sex should always be spontaneous, carry weight because they've been passed down through culture, media, and even conversations with friends. People don't realize how much these ideas shape their intimate lives, often without questioning them. By exposing the myth and showing the reality, you give your audience a sense of permission to let go of limiting beliefs and replace them with healthier, more empowering perspectives. This method also makes your message stick. When people hear a myth being challenged, it sparks curiosity. They want to know if what they've believed for years is actually wrong. Then, when you explain the reality with confidence and clarity, you create that aha moment. For example, if you say, many believe that size is what makes sex satisfying, but the reality is that emotional presence and attentiveness to your partner's body create far deeper pleasure. You're not only replacing an old belief, you're reshaping how they approach intimacy. That shift lingers because it touches both the mind and the emotions. The myth vs. reality approach also works beautifully with a romantic and sensual tone. Instead of lecturing, you're guiding. You can use it to weave in playful examples or soft challenges like You've you've probably heard that talking during sex ruins the mood. But what if I told you that whispering what you want could make your partner melt in your hands? Suddenly, you're not just giving facts, you're seducing the listener into a new way of thinking, making the truth feel exciting instead of clinical. This balance between sensual delivery and educational content is what makes the message resonate with an audience looking for intimacy advice. Another strength of this approach is that it addresses insecurities directly. Myths often feed the pressure people feel about their performance, their bodies, or their desires. When you break those myths apart, you help release the shame and self-doubt that hold them back from enjoying sex fully. For someone who has always believed they're not enough because of a certain stereotype, hearing the reality can be healing. It empowers them to focus on real intimacy instead of chasing unrealistic standards. This is why the myth-vs. reality approach is more than just a teaching technique. It's a way to create intimacy, even in conversation. You're not only giving people knowledge, you're opening their minds, easing their fears, and encouraging them to connect more honestly with themselves and their partners. By guiding them through this contrast of what they thought they knew versus what truly matters, you're leading them toward more authentic, satisfying, and liberated experiences in love and sex. Normalize curiosity and communication is the heartbeat of intimacy advice because it addresses one of the biggest barriers couples face: silence. So many people enter relationships carrying unspoken desires, unanswered questions, and secret insecurities. They fear that talking about sex will make them seem needy, strange, or unattractive, when in reality, it's silence that builds distance and misunderstanding. When you normalize curiosity and communication, you create a safe space where love and desire can flourish without shame. It's about showing people that asking questions, expressing preferences, and sharing fantasies isn't awkward. It's necessary for deeper passion and lasting connection. Curiosity is often misunderstood. Many believe that wanting to learn more about their partner's body, fantasies, or emotions somehow means they're inexperienced or unsatisfied. But true intimacy thrives when curiosity is alive. Curiosity means you see your partner as a mystery worth exploring again and again, even after years together. It's the spark that keeps love from becoming routine. When you say, I wonder what would make you feel good tonight, or tell me something you've always wanted to try, you invite your partner into a world where they can feel desired, valued, and safe to open up. This isn't just about physical exploration, it's about emotional closeness where both partners feel they can be vulnerable without fear of rejection. Communication, on the other hand, is often painted as the opposite of passion, but the truth is that it's one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs. Whispering desires, asking for feedback, or simply telling your partner what you love about the way they touch you turns intimacy into a shared experience instead of a guessing game. Too many people struggle because they assume their partner should just know what they want. That silent expectation creates frustration, resentment, and disappointment. By encouraging open communication, you're helping couples break free from this cycle. When you normalize the act of speaking during intimacy, it stops being scary and starts being sexy. Another layer of this is removing the stigma around difficult conversations. Many couples avoid topics like mismatched desire, insecurities about their bodies, or past experiences because they're afraid it will create conflict. But avoidance only deepens the divide. When you present communication as natural and necessary, you give couples permission to address sensitive topics without guilt. You empower them to say, I feel shy about this, but I want to share it with you, and know that vulnerability won't be punished, but embraced. This honesty doesn't just improve the bedroom, it strengthens trust in the entire relationship. Balance sensuality with education is the art of delivering intimacy advice in a way that excites the mind while also stirring the heart and body. Too often, people feel that conversations about sex and relationships are either overly clinical, like a biology lesson, or purely sensational, like something from entertainment. Neither extreme truly serves the audience seeking guidance, because one strips away the emotional and erotic connection, while the other ignores the need for accurate and meaningful information. The balance lies in creating an atmosphere where the listener feels turned on by knowledge itself, where learning about intimacy feels like an intimate act, not a chore. When you speak with sensuality, you awaken curiosity and keep the audience engaged. A soft tone, vivid imagery, and words that tease the imagination allow people to connect emotionally and physically to what they're hearing. Sensuality makes the message feel alive. It's what makes advice about relationships and intimacy resonate deeply instead of sounding like instructions from a manual. For example, instead of saying, communication during sex improves satisfaction, saying, whispering what you want in your lover's ear not only guides them, it ignites them takes the same message but delivers it in a way that listeners can feel in their bodies. This sensual framing builds anticipation, and that emotional charge makes the truth far more memorable. At the same time, education grounds sensuality in credibility. Listeners need to know that the advice is more than fantasy. It must help them improve their relationships in real, practical ways. That means giving facts, busting myths, and offering clear examples that they can apply in their own lives. For instance, explaining that intimacy is heightened when partners build anticipation over time connects directly with science about arousal and emotional bonding. Education is what transforms flirtatious talk into real guidance that can change how someone approaches love and sex. Without that, the audience might feel entertained but not empowered. The true power of this balance is that it allows you to speak to both sides of intimacy, the body and the mind. People crave not just physical satisfaction, but also emotional connection and intellectual stimulation. A purely sensual message might stir desire, but leave someone wondering how to translate it into their own relationship. A purely educational message might provide clarity, but leave them uninspired or disconnected from the romance of it. When both are blended, you touch every level of intimacy. You validate the heart, the mind, and the senses all at once, creating a holistic experience of learning and arousal. Empower confidence is one of the most transformative messages you can give to an audience seeking relationship and intimacy advice. Confidence is often misunderstood in the context of sex and romance. Many people assume it means being bold, dominant, or perfect in performance, but in reality, true confidence in intimacy comes from self-acceptance, presence, and the willingness to be authentic with a partner. It is not about pretending to know everything or about fitting into society's narrow definitions of attractiveness and skill. Confidence is about embodying comfort with yourself and creating a space where both you and your partner can feel safe, desired, and appreciated. So much of the struggle people face in relationships comes from insecurities, worries about their bodies, their desirability, their ability to satisfy a partner, or whether their desires are normal. These insecurities create barriers that prevent them from fully enjoying intimacy. They hold back, hesitate, or disconnect from the moment because they are trapped in self-criticism. Empowering confidence means helping people release those fears and focus instead on the connection they are building. A confident lover is not someone who looks a certain way or knows every technique, but someone who is present, attentive, and unafraid to express what they want. Confidence in intimacy also grows when communication and curiosity are normalized. When someone feels that they can ask, listen, and explore without judgment, they naturally feel more secure. Knowing that their partner accepts them builds confidence in their own body and desires. This creates a cycle where openness feeds trust and trust feeds confidence. It also dismantles the myth that confidence is something you are either born with or without. Instead, it becomes something that can be cultivated step by step through small moments of honesty, courage, and mutual appreciation. Another layer of empowerment comes from shifting focus away from performance and toward connection. Society has conditioned many people to believe that sex is about meeting certain standards, whether it's lasting a long time, having a certain body type, or achieving a specific outcome. This pressure creates anxiety and undermines real intimacy. When you empower people to understand that confidence comes from presence, paying attention to their partner, tuning into sensations, expressing affection, the pressure lifts. They realize that intimacy is not a performance to be judged, but an experience to be shared. This change in mindset can be life-changing because it allows people to finally relax and enjoy intimacy as it's meant to be. Empowering confidence also means embracing vulnerability. True confidence is not about pretending to be invulnerable. It's about having the courage to be seen as you are. When someone allows their partner to see their desires, their quirks, or their insecurities, and is still met with love and passion, that vulnerability transforms into strength. It deepens intimacy and builds resilience. The audience needs to hear that being authentic is far more attractive than trying to play a role, and that the courage to be real is what truly makes someone irresistible. So, my loves, we've uncovered some of the most common myths, embraced the power of curiosity and communication, learned how to balance sensuality with real knowledge, and discovered that true confidence is about connection, not perfection. Intimacy is not about following old rules, it's about creating your own with love, honesty, and passion. Thank you for opening your hearts and minds tonight, for allowing me to guide you through these truths, and for choosing to grow in the most beautiful part of life, love and desire. Until next time, stay curious, stay confident, and never stop exploring each other